So apparently they have, they were like, well, they could do default forecasting. And for anybody that does a bit of forecasting methodologies know that you typically just do a simple trending forecast, like, can't remember what it's called now. I should know because I do it on a weekly basis, but the word escaped me. I'll remember it in a minute. But anyhow, when you do, they can do like a simple forecast, but any advanced scenario building or anything, no, doesn't exist.
Okay. I'm gonna tell you what I'm hearing that you're saying in all of those 8 demos that you have attended and a million other messages that you have received from companies trying to sell you WFM tool is, hold on. Hey Kim, we know that finding the right WFM solution can be very difficult and the systems are extremely complicated. This is why we have created these systems, which is the leader software in the market, and it's going to provide with every single possible functionality and feature that you would require. Though we haven't even spoken and we haven't understood your requirements, but we can solve your challenges for the fraction of cost that you would be paying to some of the other players.
Best part, I will now contact you every 2 months moving forward. You forgot that part.
Oh my God. Okay, I'll stand corrected. I mean, we're joking, but it's actually not funny.
No, it is the truth. These marketing people will put you on a calling list because they have now created a lead, like we all know. And because they now know they're talking to the person that has the power to make a change, they will continuously contact you regarding the system, whether you want to hear from them or not.
Mm, you know what? That isn't even my biggest irritation. My biggest irritation is that, and I'm sorry, I don't want to throw shade to CSMs or to account executive because they're doing the best that they can
Oh,
under
yeah.
circumstances in their company. But the reality is that majority of them don't have a WFM background. And the worst part for them, and I actually feel sorry for them, is when they stand up in front of person like you and me that are also a little bit more savage in the way that we're communicating. And they try to explain me how their solution is the best fit, and they cannot answer a single question about it.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So I asked what type of integration do you have with external tools? Because we have a data analytics tool, which is the core bit I want to try and get sort of the basics out of to. But we have a bunch of other integrations as well. Like, how do you communicate with a telephony platform? How do you communicate with any form of like external software or, um, for example, gamification or QA tools, etc. How? And it's like, oh, yeah, we have this tool over here we can sell you. Oh, so there's no consideration as to, okay, how do I plug everything in? So I've had a bit of an issue with this. Now, the frustration for me is that when you finally get around to selecting a WFM system, you've gotten around all of these marketing people, and I'm sorry, do a great job, but
Selling bullshit.
yeah,
I mean, I'm so happy with, and even though I have a marketing degree, I think I absolutely suck. But the language that was, I mean, I'm actually envious of how articulate these people are.
oh
And
yeah,
no shade, good job, guys. But it's the extent of it. When you need to know how something actually is working and tweaking, that's where the conversation gets
yeah.
deep.
And every organization is different. We are a water company. Water is, I'm not going to talk too much about water because water, I have a whole rant about water. But generally speaking, they're a bit underfunded. They've always had been in the state of we have to fix this, then after this. You have to prioritize costs, right? So you don't have a lot of money to play with. So you have to find the best you can get. So you have to be a bit savvy in terms of how to make things work.
Mhm.
So you kind of have to play with a bit of like systems and how to make everything talk to each other, etc. You have to be a bit like under it, figure out how things work. And the supporting documents that come with these things, because you can't rely on the marketing guys to ask you. So you ask, can I get a bit of like some sort of documentation? So now you're sitting down with 150-page documentation for the 10th system in a row, trying to figure out, okay, what kind of API connector do you have and what does it look like and where does it go? What fields are you looking for? How does this actually communicate with each other? What simple ask from my data team was, what kind of frequency can we get the data out? That took me 3.5 hours.
Let me translate that. I'm starting to blush. Honestly, I love that conversation because it is a reality. And the thing that usually happens in conversations with vendors is, please tell me the frequency of the data. Sure, you can find it here in our help center. And this is the full technical documentation where you need to scroll, as you said, 150 pages in order to understand a single sentence. Because nobody think about it, nobody knows it, it's somewhere lost in translation. But it is the truth that either before or post implementation, the resources are limited, especially if you don't have a support package that you're paying. It's difficult to get any answer that doesn't require you to spend tens of hours looking for it yourself.
So that's been my reality for the last 6 to 8 months, is to read documentation to understand what kind of value they can generate. And don't get me wrong, I haven't even got to propose to sale yet. I've gone out to a tender to get some ideas. Not even that we can replace our system yet, because it's coming up in next year. So I have a bit of time, so I want to be ahead of the game. So now we come to the whole, okay, you finally have a WFM system. What does it come with? And you raised, this has been on my mind for a number of months, but you said something very interesting in a post, I think about 6-7 months ago, where you said, is WFM function a admin or a strategic function?
Mm-hmm.
And I raised the question in my building, actually, because I was curious what people would say.
Oh.
And I got a very, depending on who the audience was, you got a very varied answer. So if I'm talking to the operations manager, the person in charge of my contact center, I'm absolutely strategic.
Yes. Okay.
If I'm talking to the team leaders, I'm admin. If I'm talking to the agents, I'm admin. If I'm talking to my boss, I'm admin. If I'm talking to the director, I'm strategic. Nobody can seem to make up their mind, by the way. And that was interesting to me, because I said I need a new system that helps me build a strategy, but none of them actually believed I was doing strategy. So the reason this is relevant for what I was about to say is that I was looking for a tool that could help me do scenario building as a part of it. So water industry, something happened. It's a common fact. We are pipe bursts, we get no water for a bunch of people, and we need to support them. And it's absolutely serious in a moment, and you do need to actually ensure that these people have access to water. Some are in a critical situation, etc. So in order to make that work, you want to try and build a bit of a scenario to figure out how many people do I need to ensure that all of these customers are, one, communicated to, that there is an incident, two, understand what's going on, where we are, how we can help them, support them, etc. Bit of an outbound campaign to make sure we reach out to the customers. I have done this in Excel for so long now that I'm about to puke, and I can't find a single tool that does it for me. None. Zero.
Well, we did a very strategic mistake with picking up the topic. Let me just give a little bit of background to the listeners. We picked that topic literally a minute before the recording, and we were on the call, and I was trying to figure out how to phrase the topic, and we didn't even think, we didn't discuss what Kim was about to say. And now my concern is that at the second I hit publish on the podcast, you will see what the spam rule like, because you will be hearing from a lot of vendors that you're not in touch with that will be solving your issue.
Yeah, probably. And